free on that asphalt lane. 4 wide a ton a day, they ain't holding no chain.
Gordon's right back Cotford, and we get Benny. Bars and umbrellas on box, paper is 19.
4 cars side by side in a wild thrill ride, with the roar of the engines leaving all doubts behind. As the wheels spin on, chasing dreams we can't hide. That's car life where legends never die.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Four Wide Podcast. We're all four here today. It's a phenomenal event. Everybody was on time, even though we still spent 20 minutes just coming around as usual because we are very self-motivated over here, as you can tell. So we'll see here. We got Mr. Race winning driver fan, Mr. Kent, here with us with 2 hats.
Absolutely. And Cole earlier told me that the 24s might be a little redundant, making it a 48. And I said, well, if that's the only way that you can get the 48 in the Final Four, then so be it. So, but anyways, did not expect that. We'll gladly take it, though.
I mean, at this point, I'd take anything to get the 48 into the playoffs, but okay. Now we got Mr. Conversion over here. We don't have anything with Larson on. It's just a Ross Chastain hat today with Blake and a weird-looking polo shirt. He's dressed up.
I know, man. It's some formal but here to party look. Got the discounted Ross hat, celebrating a good top 5 from him, so take that for sure.
And we have Mr. Austin with us, the big dog himself. How you doing today, Austin?
Good, doing good. Just hoping we can feast on some gator this weekend. Go Dogs, sick 'em.
Gator's pretty good, honestly. If you've been to Florida and tried it, I highly recommend it. We're just here to have a good time today, guys. We're all mentally exhausted. Some of us physically exhausted. Me and Blake were at Martinsville for the Sunday race, and even just going to the Sunday race, man, got out early. It felt like it wasn't nighttime when we left. For the most part, it was kind of getting to the point of turning that way, but still felt like a long day once you get back to the house.
Dude, how was the traffic for you?
It was terrible.
Yeah, thanks.
It was awful.
That was the worst traffic I've ever. That was like worse than Charlotte getting out of there on my end. They took us down some Virginia back road that I ain't never been on before. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Did it come off like there's a stop sign and there's like a construction place, maybe like a Tractor Supply or something? You turn right and then you get on the highway going towards Greensboro?
Yes, it's the Ace Hardware there.
Yep, that's where same here, buddy.
It was awful. Oh my gosh.
And I had a direct line to get in, too, because I know you had to pull from near the gas station, but I was in the straight line. It took me at least an hour and a half to get out of traffic.
Yeah, I should have just gone on 58 towards Danville and go back to Durham that way, man. That was a mistake for sure. I hope they fix that.
They won't.
I don't think they were expecting that many people. I mean, in the spring, it was the same route. In the spring, I'm pretty sure, because I remember going by the Ace Hardware, and it took me 30 minutes to get out. But there was just way more people there.
Yeah. I guess that's a good problem for them to have.
Good problem for them to have, bad problem for us to have. They need to invent the flying car and get it over with. We'll be all right then.
Yep, that's right.
We just have to watch out for the
Come on,
trees.
Elon Musk. Get on with it.
Yeah. All righty, boys. Well, we had 3 races this weekend, a lot of different storylines to go with those races. So we're looking forward to getting into those. But, of course, we got just a few new segments here. Given that Kaulig ended their partnership with RCR, it was kind of given that they were probably going to close their Xfinity Series garage. And sure enough, they did that. They're going to focus all their resources towards the truck team in that regard, all those Xfinity stuff. And it makes sense, especially if Dodge is wanting to move up, next few years to get in the Xfinity or the Cup Series. And imagine that they would kind of try to funnel all the resources they can for development. That sucks to see because Kaulig's been a home of many prominent drivers. AJ Allmendinger for a while. Justin Haley was in a Kaulig car for a good while. I remember me and Blake were at a Daytona race where we thought he actually won the Xfinity race, but he went below the yellow line.
Ross won the Xfinity race down there in Daytona in a Kaulig car, too.
They've been a home to a lot of good drivers. Hate to see them go, but Obviously, given that they're going to be running 5 trucks, they're going to have to cut the cost somewhere, and that Xfinity program's probably number one. They're still planning on running Cup per usual. And that brings up an interesting point. What's going to happen with Ty Dillon? Because you would imagine with that RCR partnership, that's probably one of the reasons that 10 car was set up for him where he could drive it. But in all honesty, if we disregard the whole kerfuffle with the pit road incident, he's had a pretty decent year in Kaulig equipment on Cup level. If you look at his performances per the last few years with Kaulig on Cup level, he's been doing pretty good. Obviously, not as good on the road courses as an AJ Allmendinger would be. But I was just kind of curious what you guys thought if Ty Dillon will be making a return. I'm pretty sure this is a contract year for him. I'll have to double check that when you guys talk. I'll throw it to Blake here first, though.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point because they had that ECR alliance, right? And I'm sure Ty running there with Kaulig, I'm sure there was probably a decent amount of discounted stuff that Kaulig was able to get from Richard Childress just due to the family ties, right? And so would it be worth keeping him around? He's had an all right year. I mean, honestly, you take away that one pit road incident at Phoenix, and he's probably going to win that race, right? So I mean, and granted, I know there was some stuff going on like with the option tire and stuff like that, but still, he was up front, had a decent shot, and so I don't know. That's a really good question. I think you could probably think of a few other guys that might deserve it more. I mean, you look at somebody like Justin Haley. I think when it comes to pure talent level, I think he would probably beat Dillon out. But Ty Dillon has tons of funding too, right? So it's like with how tough the business model is, hence everything that's been going on with the settlement talks and all that. It's probably best on the business side if you do keep him, right? Because I mean, who else are you going to bring that's going to be better into the Cup with funding? You would think like Corey Haim or somebody like that, if he were to get out of Toyota. I don't know what his plans are next year. It doesn't look like any other options better than Ty Dillon.
No, with Ty, I've always felt like he's had more potential and more talent than his brother. It's easier to root for Ty than it is for Austin because, yeah, Ty had a lot of stuff, that was, if you want to say, he had stuff handed to him when he was at RCR coming up through like Xfinity and stuff like that. I mean, you can, but I always thought that he has done a lot with less. And so I've always thought it'd be cool to see him get that marquee ride and go and do something with it. But yeah, I mean, if he steps into a really good opportunity in a lower series and has an opportunity to go out and win immediately, that'd be really cool to see if he can actually do it. We've been kind of seeing that with Corey LaJoie right now, and I think Ty knows his days are probably limited unless something crazy happens from the sponsorship standpoint. So
he's brought a lot in with Field and Stream and Sugarland Shines and stuff like that. Those were not sponsors that were brought over from like the Bass Pro Shop. Sugarland Shines, most people know that, just given, if you've ever been to Bristol or any other racetrack that sells any kind of moonshine, that usually is the premier shine or partner of moonshine at the racetracks. I hope he is able to retain the ride and keep it, be honest with you. I don't think that 1 year is enough to put a benchmark on somebody's career, especially in this quality of a ride. And sometimes it takes forever for people to adapt to new cars. I like both of the Dillon brothers just because they're really good to the fans. Always super classy when I meet them. And then Chastain will be getting a new crew chief next year. Blake, who was that again, buddy?
Matt McSwain. Yeah, been helping out on the 24 car from what I've seen, and doing some engineering, and really with how the sport's gone. I mean, if you can have somebody with a really good engineering mindset as your crew chief, I think that is a really good strategic fit for the cars these days, from what it seems like. And so I'm happy for Ross. I think Ross has showed some really good speed at some certain places this year, like obviously like Coke 600, right? Just been up and down. I think overall for Trackhouse, it's been feast or famine a lot of times, and this is with the exception of the road courses, right? Hopefully they will turn their program around, and hopefully this is something for the better, like Ross, or else I wouldn't have a hat on about him, right? So much potential, and he's getting a lot out of a little, even with Trackhouse this year. And it's if he can get a right fit on the crew chief, I think he truly has a chance to be dangerous for the Cup field. Right. Had multiple wins in 22, had multiple wins in 23. Had a little bit of an off year, didn't make the playoffs last year, but still won at Kansas. Had a really thrilling victory at the 600, and I mean, honestly, took down a powerhouse guy at the 600. I mean, he led. I mean, how many laps at the 600? Well over half the race. Yeah, and so, and for a team like Trackhouse, just simply race out and single-handedly beat the Hendrick car. I think that shows you the potential he has, and he's got to have a right fit. Something was definitely off with the Trackhouse cars for the most part, with the exception of the road courses. SVG was stellar this year. They could use a change. With Zilich coming, I think there's going to be a lot more hype around the team. You've got a young phenom coming up, and no disrespect to Suarez, but I think he was past the idea of young phenom. You'll have Zilich, SVG, obviously, arguably the best road racer there ever was in NASCAR, and then Ross, somebody who really connects with the average fan, who's one of the more popular guys who just is known for his doesn't give a rip mentality. I don't think you can do much worse than this year for him. So I like it.
Bill Sturgeon's the current crew chief. He will be finishing out the year, I'm pretty sure, given there's one more race in the season. But Phil's not, a terrible crew chief by any means. Like you said, 2022, him and Ross partnered up for like 2 wins, with 10 podium finishes and then 15 top fives and over 20 top 10s that year. It's kind of like the whole stigma with like NBA back when I used to keep up with it. If the players are doing terrible, it usually comes down to, they're going to fire the head coach, right? And this kind of feels like this. And I'm not saying Chastain's done a terrible job. It could be something just in the engineer department. It could be something more internal than the crew chief itself. So I always feel like crew chiefs are kind of like the scapegoat when it comes to these companies.
For sure.
So I hate to see Phil go because obviously he's talented. It's just the performance and the chemistry is just not there here of the last 2 years. I mean, I think he has 6 top 5s last year and 7 this year. And you compare that to the 15 and 11 the 2 years before, it's obvious that there's some kind of flux in the Trackhouse organization. But the question is, where actually is it? Is it the funding or the, Pitbull's gone now. He's not an owner. Is it the internal funding that they're bringing in? Maybe that's the reason they cleared the road for Zilich so early where, some people could say, hey, you could probably stay another year in Xfinity and grow a little bit more, but you bring Weatherguard and Red Bull onto a more capacity, have it on 2 different cars.
Well, and I think
It'll be
for their model to work, you got to have. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Suarez, but I think it's safe to say between Ross, SVG, and Suarez is probably the weak link there at Trackhouse. It's just not something there. Just ultimately ended up not clicking this year, and in a really bad way too. And so, and I don't think Suarez is a bad driver. I think he could thrive in a right scenario. Maybe Spire will be better. Maybe he makes a home more permanently in the Xfinity series or something. But, and you've seen it with other teams before. I think of like late thousands, early twins with Hendrick Motorsports, right? They had to have some crew chief swaps. And, I think of like that year that like Lance McGrew was Dale Jr.'s crew chief, right? I mean, that wasn't clicking, right? But eventually they brought in Steve Letarte, and that was a really good fit for really good fit for Junior. And so I think, they'll get it, and I hope it works out for them because I think Trackhouse, just with they've got a lot of good potential to really branch out to more fans, and with their marketability, with a guy like SVG and Zilich and Ross, you kind of got everybody from the whole spectrum of the fans that could root for one of those drivers. And so I'd love to see them reach their max potential because I think it would be really, really good for the sport.
We all knew SVG was going to be dominant on the road courses coming into this year based off of what we've seen in the past. And based off what we've seen in the past from Chastain as well, we expected high standards. I mean, this is a guy who has made fairly deep runs into the playoffs in the past, and you expect a lot out of him. But we didn't really get that this year. I mean, yeah, he won the crown jewel. Consistency-wise, he wasn't there, and kind of left us all wondering, gosh, what's going on with Chastain? This is not the Chastain that we're used to seeing, especially when you see even SVG starting to run fairly well throughout the field, at least consistently during the race, as a guy who is not as experienced on ovals as everybody else. And then, Suarez is whatever. We all kind of knew going into this was kind of a make or break year for Suarez as far as his contract goes with Trackhouse. So, I mean, maybe a new crew chief will change the juju around the place and maybe kind of get it some new strategy or something to kind of change what has been happening with the one car over the last couple of years, because pressure's on. SVG's starting to figure out ovals. He's good on road courses, and you got Zilich coming up in the 99. We don't know what his future will look like. We don't know if he's going to be dominant rookie, one of the best rookies we've ever seen, or, is it going to take him some time? We don't know. So, but I feel like it's a step for Trackhouse to try to change something, because clearly something is not working.
Alrighty, well, I'm just going to go ahead and move us up to the truck since we got all three to talk about this week. We'll just straight up get into it. How can you have a tiebreaker that doesn't factor in wins at all when your playoff system is literally about winning races?
I'll be honest. Nobody can convince me, and I don't think you can make a good argument that anybody else outside of Corey Heim should be the champion this year, right? So on one hand, the fact that Lane couldn't advance, I don't think there's an argument that Lane should beat Corey Heim for this championship. You see what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, I hate it, but from a pure standpoint, Heim deserves it anyway. However, as a guy who appreciates consistency, I would like to see it go back to how many wins you have on the year. Especially if it's all about winning, then make it all about winning. When you look at this top four in the trucks, I don't know that you got the best four. I think a better four would have been Heim, Riggs, Hemrick, and probably a Raja or a Honeycutt. I think you could probably make an argument for one of those. But to have somebody like Ankrum and Majeski in there who, let's be honest, outside of Rockingham ain't really done much. And Majeski, I mean, great guy, good guy around the fans, but just hasn't won, right? And so, and you could probably substitute Majeski for Honeycutt there for that last position, right? I think you've got probably 4 or 5 guys who could do it. I don't know if this top four really resonates the greatness of what some other drivers have had, but under this point system that they have, it's the best finish. And Lane just did not perform at the road. Granted, part of that wasn't his fault because getting spun on first lap, hard to come back from. But on the other hand, Corey Heim did and didn't have a great week at Talladega. You just can't have 2 bad races in a row, no matter how good your season's been, and really expect to advance, especially like when you're on the restart and you missed a shift. Those points right there costed them, So you take those 3 races where you have a problem, you can't expect to advance, right? You can't, you shouldn't want to be relying on the tiebreaker, right? So I can see both sides of it, but just, I think in a fair way. I mean, nobody should beat Corey Heim for this championship this year. So I hate it for Lane, but also too, like, even if Lane won, would I have been happy? Yes. But also, it would have been a problem if Heim doesn't win. Does that kind of make sense where I'm coming from?
It does, but do not sleep on Majeski. He literally won the championship at Phoenix last year.
True.
I know the performance has not been the greatest this year, but it's obvious that they have a pretty good setup for Phoenix. I mean, they put that truck together semi-close to what they did last year. They're going to have a solid effort. We kind of talked about how Phoenix kind of has similar aspects to kind of a short track in a way. It's got a unique perspective. You got the apron and everything that we've talked about before. But if anybody was watching the Richmond race, Heim was very lucky that Majeski didn't win that race, because he could have easily won that race. He was so dominant. You can consider Ankrum and Honeycutt. Maybe Honeycutt, he's been okay at Phoenix in the past. I could expect them to not have a really good effort, but I'm telling you, Majeski, he's got a fighting chance. It's not like he's going in with one glove off. He's got both gloves on in the boxing ring.
That's true. That's true. Definitely got one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blake's right. I mean, I don't know how anybody could argue that Heim doesn't deserve the championship this year, but this is the playoff format that we're given to work with, and it comes down to a one-race shootout. But I don't think Ankrum has a chance, and I don't think Honeycutt has a chance. I think ultimately it's going to come down to Majeski, down to Heim. Those are the two best proven drivers, one across the season with Heim, and two, a guy like Majeski, who is good at short tracks, fits right into his wheelhouse. Majeski didn't have a terrific year last year either. I think he did at least win a race, but he didn't have the strongest year last year either. So I think ultimately, Heim will win, but anything can happen. You got three other guys who really want to win and really want to have a shot. But I agree. I don't understand. This is why I think we need the point system to be reformed. I don't understand how a guy like Lane, who's had a really good year and just doesn't even get a shot at it. Yeah, I think this is a perfect example of why the playoff system needs changes, because it shouldn't be this way.
College football fans that might listen in. If you're an LSU fan, there's a part of you that was like, all right, Texas A&M, if you're going to beat us, like hang 50 on us, so that way you'll also get our coach fired. And so it's like, all right, look, if this is the way the Final Four is going to be, then so be it. But also let someone win it who has no business carrying the title of champion at the end of this season, just so that way, NASCAR kind of finally gets it and says, okay, we're going to do something different next year. There's speculation, of course, on what it'll look like, what it could be. The guesses are anywhere from, just changing the way that the playoff looks and the rounds look, all the way to completely goes back to the way it was in the Winston Cup Series. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be somewhere in between. When I suggested they go back to the chase format, and Cole texted back, he was like, well, I think the rumor is it would just be a 3-race finale. That still allows for, you need to show up and be consistent. You need to show up and run well. You got to be good. You got to be elite. It's not just a one-off, hey, you spun out or hit someone on pit road, whatever the case. I don't know. Something happens and then it's like your day's ruined. Any change, I think, is good change.
So I think what I've been hearing is like a 3 to 4 playoff, and try to get like 4 diverse racetracks, like a short track, maybe a super speedway, kind of similar to what you see towards the end of the year. Road course has been thrown in there too, which, take that as you will. Looking at Phoenix, obviously they don't race Phoenix in the springtime like Cup does, so you don't have any statistics or anything. Everything you're looking at is from last year. It's people like Christian Eckes and Nicholas Sanchez, that they're not even in the Truck Series this year, but it was Majeski, Heim, Christian Eckes, Sanchez, and Grant Enfinger. So that was the top 5 last year in regards to finishing position at Phoenix. That's going to be interesting to watch, but you had all whole other elements that we hadn't even talked about yet. Raja came in like 16, 17 points to the good, right? And he does basic racing contact with Honeycutt door to door, cuts the tire, slams into the wall, his day's done. His playoffs are done unless someone else has another travesty of a day, which just didn't luck out for him at all. That performance at Talladega shows that he was ready for prime time. He knew that he had to come in and get points, and that's what he did. He won one stage straight away from getting a really good finishing position before he got a really bad bump from behind from the 15 truck. I think that really pushed him out of the groove, because that high line, if I remember right, they had the momentum coming into it. That breakage, Corey LaJoie could have been your winner for the Truck Series last week. Yeah, I've grown to like Raja a lot. I think that his story's very captivating and interesting. He's kind of got the William Byron story, right? Also, Corey LaJoie absolutely shipped Tony Breinger into the wall about 3/4 through the race. Found that interesting too.
I was pretty gutted for Raja. I like Raja. He's probably one of my favorite guys in the Truck Series. He just had a horrible day. Things just could not seem to go right for him. He kept seeming to get caught in trouble, and his day unfortunately ended early, and so did his playoff hopes. But I'm optimistic for the future for Raja. It's clear that people think he's got potential because he's going to be making some starts in the Xfinity Series next year. It looks like he's trying to run a full-time schedule with part-time rides, plural there. So I'm excited to see what he's got going on in the future. Thought Brent Cruz might have had it there for a minute too, there towards the end. But obviously Heim was just too good on that outside line, and was able to work his way in front. Ultimately, it was a good race. I don't think it was as dramatic as the Xfinity race, but overall, I think it was pretty entertaining. And I watched it, Cole. So
Good, proud of you. I mean, you had your drama, obviously, with the points at the end. I mean, there was coming into the last 10 laps, you had what, like +1, -1, and -3. It was like right on dead. Hemrick obviously hadn't, he had a day ender himself. I was gutted for him, obviously. Been a pretty good year. I mean, comes into a new truck, new organization for him, gets into the round of 8. You got to feel pretty good about that.
This season helped his career out for the long run for Hemrick. I thought it was a good year for Hemrick, just to echo what you were saying. Everybody was doing what they had to do to win towards the end, or at least to get the points. And so, I heard some people talk about, like the front row trucks, like Chandler Smith chose in a way that helped Lane Riggs propel in the points. And it's like, okay, I mean, what else do you expect them to do, right, in that scenario? And so I heard some kind of chatter about, oh, that's race manipulation and this and that. But it's like everything you do at that race is race manipulation. If you pass a car, I mean, are we going to call that race manipulation? It obviously didn't matter. So what's the point?
The main thing that people were upset was that you're not supposed to talk about it on the radio, and they were like trying to hint code it on the radio when they were going around. They're like, hey, Chandler, if you look to the left, and of course, there's a big old screen that shows you the point situation and, where everybody's running. And they didn't want to say, hey, your boy Lane Riggs is right behind you, so make sure you pick, the best, because you can't say something like that, because that's how Freddie Kraft got absolutely sent to Cancun a week early, kind of deal thing. But I agree. I mean, you gotta help your teammates out. So I don't think that's manipulation, but the portion of on the radio is what most people had an issue with, for what I understand. Is as a driver, like, if you're Chandler Smith, you should know that. You shouldn't even have to have that communicated on the radio. All you gotta do is look in your rear view and be like, oh, there's a guy that has the sponsor of my teammate. I bet you that's my teammate behind me, kind of deal thing. Or check the pylon, check the screen. It's really not that hard.
Yeah.
And you've seen like Cup Series, right? You had William Byron going to pass Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman's in front of him. He's going to lap him. He didn't race him tremendously hard because he's his teammate. And then when it comes to Byron or Blaney coming around him, he didn't race him that entirely too hard, but he tried, to slow him down a little bit. But that's what you're expected to do as teammates. That's not manipulation. Yeah. When it comes to like last year in the fall of Martinsville, when you got 4 Chevy cars just making a Titanic blockade where another car can't pass another, that's a different story.
Sure. And I think now, I mean, something like that, when you throw up like a big blockade, not ideal. I hate to bring it up. It's like you go back to the consistency thing of like, well, truly, I mean, the front row guys didn't do anything different than Freddie Kraft on the radio right? They're not suspended. It gets confusing for the fans sometimes. And that's why I'm like, as long as it's nothing major. Because, I mean, yeah, going back to like Bowman, like, yeah, you totally expect him just to let his teammate go by, but you race somebody else harder, until you get the blue and yellow flag and you let off. It's just, to me, that's annoying that that stuff comes up, but I don't know. I just figured I'd address it.
Yeah, listening to Door Bumper Clear today, heard them talking about all of this, and one of them just said, just go back to let them do what's best for their team. But you got to ask, all right, where do you draw the line? Because there has to be a line somewhere, right? You can't be spinning out on purpose, right? Drawing cautions. Where do you draw the line? And I think that's really hard to police and maintain consistently. And I think that's why the rule is the. And so, yeah, I think Blake's right. It's just, it's frustrating. You got to draw the line at some point.
All right, well, we'll move it to the Xfinity Series, where obviously there was a line crossed, specifically after the finish line, which we
What?
won't have to talk about. We neglected to mention it during our news segment because I felt like it was it fits more appropriately here. So Sam Mayer indeed got suspended this week for Phoenix. Big whoop, right, for him. Yeah, insert Sam Mayer face. I'll make sure to add it post credits. I did it the last time we mentioned it. Actually, posted a meme that day, ironically, and he reposted on his Instagram story, which was really cool of him. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, from what I saw on Saturday, Texas A&M has a really elite offense, and LSU just struggled offensively to stay in the game. I'm sorry. I did not watch that race. I will say this, having gathered context since then to hear what was going on. Who was it that he dumped? Who was it? Okay, I can't do that. I mean, you cross the start finish line, and at Martinsville, you take one or two cool down laps. It's the first time you drive past pit road, you tend to, it might be clogged up, or something like that, and you take another lap while you're waiting for some cars to get on pit road or whatever the case may be. You're not bracing for an impact. You're not looking for it or anything like that. The race has ended, right? You're not competing anymore. That's the worst time to do it. You ever should do it, but that's the worst. That's the worst time to do it. So you've got CW personnel that are coming onto the track to get victory lane footage, right, burnout and stuff like that. There's so much that's going on, and it's all the more unsafe for so many reasons. And so yeah, you can't be doing that. I think NASCAR made the right call by suspending Sam Mayer. Hey, I mean, I love Sam Mayer. He's, like you said, he's reposting some 4 wide content, which is great. Haas Factory commented on that, which is awesome. But anyways, I've always liked Sam Mayer. I just think it was a stupid mistake from a kid. I think he's gonna be fine. He's gonna learn from it. But I mean, it's nothing that Kyle Busch hadn't done. So I mean, I don't think it's as big of a deal long term. I think we'll forget it happened until we're talking about this race next year.
I mean, you can't do that. You can't dump somebody after basically the race is over and done with. NASCAR is never going to be on your side with that. You can't do that. You can't junk somebody at the end of the race. I think, it's a just punishment. And Mayer gets to go to Cancun a little earlier than everybody else. He wasn't going to be competing for the championship anyway. I do like Sam Mayer. I just think he didn't have a cool enough head. I don't think he had a cool enough head there at the end, and I think the punishment fits the crime.
Yeah, definitely don't support just full on wrecking somebody on the cool down lap. If you want to bump a guy 2-3 times, show your displeasure, I think that's one thing. I'm more of I want to see them take it out on each other on pit road, like get these NASCAR officials out of the way and let them fight, because Sam's interview was, I don't know that I can say fantastic, but it was great for the fan, right? He's just roasting Jeb Burton, but honestly, you let him get done fighting. I would love to have heard what Jeb Burton would have said about Sam Mayer, just to add fuel on the fire, And so I think it was a shame they couldn't fight. I think that would have been a nice brawl to see, especially because we've seen how Sam Mayer can be in some fights. Been cool to see what Jeb could do. Um, I know, and I think from Jeb's perspective, he had every right to be mad at him. Um, and I think Sam had a right to be mad. It's just tough racing. I think it, the only thing that I would kind of criticize from Mayer's end was like it did come across of like, "Hey, I've got a purple bumper. You should be easier on me." And it's like he doesn't owe you that, right? Like he doesn't owe you that. But I can also see where if somebody is racing for a championship, you don't want to get in their way too much, right? From his perspective. But I don't think Jeb necessarily owed him to race easier. Now I think once Sam felt like he was impeding his chances, I can see why he got mad. Yeah, I think it would have been nice to not have the officials get in the way. I think that could have been a pretty good brawl.
I enjoyed the interview because we've talked about how we are missing any kind of personality in the sport. He expressed himself vocally, and that's very important. I think that's very crucial in the sport because we don't have those personalities like a Tony Stewart anymore. You don't have someone that just comes in and like rips someone a new one over anything, even if it's just an interviewer asking a dumb question. You don't have that happen because everybody's so PR trained. And on top of that, not only is that PR, the sponsors play a massive thing when it comes to implementing, how a driver acts on pit road or anything of that jurisdiction. So I enjoyed Sam Mayer's his comments after the race because it showed his personality. I will be the first to tell you, and Blake can attest to this, I did not like Sam Mayer last year. You could say I despise Sam Mayer last year. Maybe a partial reason of it's because of what happened at the Roval, and it really wasn't his fault. That's more on NASCAR, but still. I mean, sometimes you just catch that irrational hate sometimes, and that's just what happens. But I felt like he was immature, and his year overall, if you look at it from, the start of the year to the end of the year, he's matured so much this year from the first race to the last race. And I know that, all the equipment from Stewart-Haas was transitioned pretty much over to Haas factory, but still it's a brand new team. You don't have all the resources that Stewart-Haas had back then. You lost some elements, especially funding. I mean, you lost a good amount of funding for being perfectly transparent because you don't have Stewart's name in the building anymore, but had a fantastic year. If he made the Final Four, he was a credible Final Four candidate, in my opinion. He may not have had a ton of wins to back it up this year by any means, but just overall performance-wise, I felt like he was, one of the best on the track, and it showed him just straight up points-wise. So, yeah, it was terrible that happened. I definitely don't endorse what happened after the checker flag flew when he just put Jeb Burton into the wall. But earlier in the race, Jeb Burton, essentially, this is me paraphrasing, he said, tell Sam Mayer, because early in the race, Mayer got into Jeb Burton and turned him around. Jeb said that, hey, I don't care, that he's in the playoffs. His day is done. That's what he told to tell his spotter to Sam Mayer's spotter. So, obviously, I'd be pretty pissed off if anybody told me that. And, Martinsville spins are going to happen. If anybody's looked at Jeb Burton's car before, his cars are not necessarily the most cleanest when it comes down the end of the race. There's usually a lot of race damage on Jeb Burton's car. So I kind of get some of what Sam Mayer was saying in regards to that he races hard all the time. But I don't get, like Blake said, the whole playoff spoiler portion of it. Don't agree with that necessarily. But there's a way to act, and Sam didn't act. Now, if he would have just finished the race, then said what he did at the interview, there would be no suspension, no fine, no nothing. Maybe an internal fine from Stewart-Haas, maybe, but nothing to the caliber of it like a suspension, right? So don't endorse what happened after the flag, but there was a lot of animosity between these two in the race anyways. One thing is they weren't trying to stop Jeb from going up to Sam Mayer, is Jeb was literally trying to drive his car to Sam Mayer's car.
Okay.
And And that's not allowed because the playoff drivers are segmented from the non-playoff drivers on pit road. That way it's easy for interview access. All the interviewers can just go straight up to the front of pit road. And that's what was said. Now, I don't know why Jeb didn't want to walk all the way down there. For what I understand, that there's kind of this consensus with NASCAR that's like, hey, each guy's kind of got two moves, like a punch and a punch, a shove and a shove, and then that's when NASCAR gets involved. But otherwise, they don't do anything because you remember Corey Haim and Lane Riggs at Wilkesboro, right? That long walk that Corey Haim took to Lane Riggs to just tell him that, you can't race like that. Jeb could have done something of that. Now, did cool heads prevail for him? Maybe. Maybe he wanted to be the bigger man. Sam Mayer's not afraid to fight. Him and Ty Gibbs got into something before. It didn't really work out well for Sam Mayer, I'm pretty sure. I think he got pretty much the bad end of the stick there, if I remember right. And also, I think Ty Gibbs had his helmet on, too. So there was like that whole thing like, oh, he had his helmet on kind of deal thing. So, but, yeah, and it's a shame that we hadn't even really talked about the race winner or anything because this was just a massive storyline because anytime there's a suspension in NASCAR, this is what happens.
Yeah.
But obviously someone won this race, right, Blake?
Yeah, man. You want to talk about picture perfect deja vu with this race compared to the spring Martinsville race because you've got Taylor Gray leading, probably deserved to win the race back in the spring, no doubt about it. And Sammy Smith was going to have none of it. And the story wrote itself into this last race. And you're kind of wondering, like, okay, is Sammy Smith going to pull this wild move like he did back in the spring? And it's like, well, whoever that third place car is might just it might just be their lucky day, right? I gotta admit, I'm impressed that the cooler heads did kind of prevail there up front because you don't want to see somebody come back from like 5 or 6 car lengths and just knock somebody out of the way, right? Now, if you're within a car length, sure, absolutely move them up the track. But something like what Sammy Smith did obviously was unacceptable, but you can't help but think about it as you're going on. And I'm thinking, like, if you're Taylor Gray, are you thinking about that? Are you going to hit your marks? Are you going to mess up? Are you going to let that idea get to you? And if you're Sammy Smith, it's like, okay, I obviously need to get him out of the way, but how do I do it in a way that doesn't end up like this big fiasco like it was back in the spring? And I think it happened the way it should have. I don't think Sammy was really close enough to truly do anything, and he didn't try something drastic. So it shows that he learned from that, which made me grow a little bit more respect for him because of that. And super happy for Taylor Gray. Obviously gets a little bit of a redemption from a race he should have won back in the spring.
Yeah, I know that's been a long time coming for old Mr. Gray there, and finally somebody I like in the 54 winning, even better. But yeah, I felt like that was some redemption from what happened earlier in the spring. I thought it was just hilarious. It was 54 and the 8 again there towards the end. But man, I was just so happy for Taylor. He deserved it. He's come really close this year. Has had some really good performances. Just felt like it was just perfect way for him to kind of end the year on a good note. I thought it was a good race. I watched basically every lap of it. I think lots of drama in this one. Lots of points drama as well. Was Quapple going to be able to get it done? That was the big story. Could Quapple get enough points to clear himself? And then he gets spun there at the end of the race and has to climb his way back to the field to get those points back, and then does. And it's setting up to be a exciting championship race. I'm not going to say that Zilich is it's going to be a walk in the park for Zilich, because as long as Allgaier is in the conversation, he doesn't have an easy shot to win, because we all know Allgaier knows how to race at Phoenix. But yeah, it was a great race, fun race, enjoyed it, enjoyed the drama. Excited to see who emerges as champion here at the end of the week.
I'm glad it was cleaner. Sammy Smith, the fact that he was able to kind of just not do what he did in the spring. But also it looks like these drivers are all kind of growing up a little bit, too. And but yeah, happy for Taylor Gray. In that 54 car. That 54 car is capable of winning. Anything less than winning is underwhelming for that team, for that crew. And, he's a guy that you want to see go out there and just have good runs and have some success. And so had one kind of stolen from him in the spring. And so he was able to kind of make up for that, get that win. So, man, good for him. And now that they're set in stone, getting ready to head to Phoenix, it'd be easy to say, Zilich is just going to go out there and dominate. But when you look at these guys and how they've run this year, he's going to have his hands full. So I think it lends itself to a very exciting championship race with the four of these just not knowing what could happen.
There's a good chance. I mean, there's a legit 25% chance that the driver that wins the championship has a part-time ride next year, going into next year. Carson Kvapil very much could win this. Now, would you say he's probably the long shot candidate? Probably. Still in JRM equipment, though. But in a world where, NASCAR is so unpredictable, it's crazy to think about Carson Kvapil could be the champion. And obviously, you would expect if he is the champion that maybe some of that funding issue that he might have going into next year, it's a lot easier to fund a champion, right? You find some money to do that, but
Yeah, people figure out how to get money for a champion. That's for sure.
I don't hate this Final Four that you have. I think if Austin Hill wouldn't have got his 21 points taken away with his win today, I think he would have been in easily. But with Quaffle, Love, Allgaier, and Zilich, you got a pretty good battle, and especially when you throw in for the Owners' Championship, Almirola there, because he won back in the spring as well there. I think you're going to have a really good race. Quaffle, hey, you got to give it to him. He executed when he needed to. When he was down, he definitely wasn't out. And so I thought there for a second there could be potential that Jesse Love could have wiped away a 40-point lead going in. You almost wondered that, especially when he's running about third and one or two laps down. You're like, how could this get any worse for him? So I think he's deserving to be in the Final Four easily. So glad he made it. Hope he can put that week behind him. I think you've got a lot of good fan favorites too. Whoever wins, the person who wins the most is probably the fan with this, because Zilich is pretty likable. Allgaier's definitely really likable. So is Jesse Love, and also Quaffle's kind of more of that underdog story. So I'm excited about it. I think I thought the Xfinity race was a really good race. I'm excited about the championship.
Looking at the spring, Zilich struggled. I think he ended up finishing 16th. He led 2 laps, but he's grown so much as a driver since Phoenix. It was so early in the year. Like, at this point in Phoenix, we were not thinking that Zilich was going to go on to win as many races as he has this year.
Not at all.
What kind of celebration would we see from? I mean, have y'all looked at the Final Four for the owners' points compared to the drivers? Well, so the Final Four for the owners, it's Zilich and Allgaier and Austin Hill, and the 19 for Eric Almirola. That is your owners' Final Four. So it's funny how there's two flipped, right? And so that's going to be really interesting. I mean, you've got a 50-50 shot, really, of your owner's champion being someone who's not your, like Almirola could win and Zilich could finish runner up, and you have an owner's champion and you have a, Xfinity playoff champion. Who gets the trophy? I mean, I know, but it's crazy though. It's really wild to think about, and the financial implications of that, right? Where the payout goes and that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know. That's just that was crazy. It's not something you normally see. We've seen it happen. It's not unprecedented. It's just still not something that you normally see.
What's the point differentials for the owners' points? I know you said it was 88, 7, 21, 19, but how far is each one behind?
It's all set at 0 I'm pretty sure it's whoever wins
It
the race
is.
wins the
Okay.
points.
Yeah.
Is
Okay, I didn't-
winner takes all.
Nice. Wow.
There's a shot that you see 3 different celebrations, right? You have someone that wins the race that has no championship or owner's points. Then the person from the owner's points, if it's a different driver finishes in front of them, and then the playoff driver, that'd be 3 different celebrations. A lot of it. Yeah, I wonder how the rules are stipulated with that. I'll have to look at that at some point. We'll probably mention it probably after our Phoenix episode, which I mean, it's the last episode of the season for, NASCAR, right? We have a couple of things brewing over here. We ain't going anywhere by any means. I'm looking forward to seeing how this ends up with the playoffs for all 3 series, obviously, but I think Xfinity is going to be the one that's going to be kind of the one that's going to be barn burner at the end. I think you'll see the most consistency out of these 4. I think Quapple will be the one that you kind of expect to kind of not be in it, but still, they've been bringing speed to the racetrack. He's qualified on the pole a couple of times this year. We're on the front row, so it's going to be something to watch, and hopefully we get to see a really good story come out of it regardless, because Allgaier, People's Champ, Zilich, Rookie of the Year candidate. I've seen that people said kind of like, if Quapple wins, does that mean he wins Rookie of the Year because he's the championship driver? I'm like, I don't know about that. That's tough in itself, because it's hard to say you're not the Rookie of the Year when you win the championship, but you've only won one race compared to a guy that's won double digits, right?
Yeah.
Now, doesn't Rookie of the Year go to the highest finishing in points?
I think so.
Yeah.
So
That'd probably be right.
by default, now obviously, if it wasn't about that, then I mean, come on. I mean, he's driver, everything of the year. But again, I mean, it would just show how flawed the point system is from that standpoint. But anyways,
I really hope for Marty Lindley, of all people, probably the most, I hope he gets the championship, because I feel like he definitely deserves it with the performance that the teams put consistently week in to week out, even with different drivers stepping up, like a Kligerman or a Larson getting in that car and performing still at a high level. I think they're kind of the unsung hero of the garage. And also, it's like Jim Pullman. He's going to be going to RCR next year with Kyle Busch. If he walks out with a championship kind of deal, that'd be cool for him too. So, all right, let's get to the Grand Salami. We're going to talk about the Cup race. Talk about how William Byron just absolutely dumpstered Blaney, and Blaney fans should be mad, right? No. I'm sure there's people out there that have that perspective, but most normal NASCAR fans are like, that's just a bump and run, right? But
we gave him one more reason to pull out that toaster. But
Byron channeled his inner
anyways.
Logano.
yeah.
Not even close. That's not, just get that junk out of here. I'll speak to that when y'all are ready, but you may not want to cover that from the get go. But anyways,
Well, I mean, you're the Byron fan. You kind of go ahead, buddy. We usually let whoever wins the race, if they're a fan of the driver, they usually get the talk first.
there we go. Let's do it.
Cole
No,
hasn't
that,
talked in 2 years.
Gosh, poor guy. Moment of silence.
Fatality.
Well timed. There towards the beginning of the race, I'll be honest with y'all, I wasn't hardly even keeping up with it. I mean, I was keeping up with it in the sense that I knew Byron was dominating, I knew he had the lead, and I knew he was, driving it. But in my mind, I'm like, I've seen this before. I've seen this a couple of times before this season, and I know how it goes. Darlington strategy took him out of it, and he didn't have enough time to get the lead back. It just didn't happen. Charlotte, he dominated, and then he fell off towards the end, and Chastain was able to muster it up and get by him and pull away from him, And so I was just kind of thinking, you know what? It's just, this is going to be another one of those races that slips from him. I'm not even going to watch it. Well, sure enough, strategy put him a little bit behind the 8 ball. And so then we were really going to find out if he had the car to race his way back into it. I mean, that's what it boiled down to, is if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If he's going to fade now because he doesn't have the clean air, then we're going to find out very quick. And doggone it, if he didn't drive his way back up there. So then, yeah, there's He's running Blaney down. He's got the better car. He's going to get by him at some point, but he's also got to, like, Blaney left that door open. And I thought the DBC guys did a good job of breaking down the pass. If you watch Byron's onboard view, there was nothing egregious by the way he stepped out. He didn't, overshoot the corner or anything like that. He also didn't think that Blaney was going to, at the last minute, force it 3 wide by going to the inside of the lap car of, I believe, Ty Dillon. He just keeps finding ways to show back up in moments where William Byron is making contact with drivers. But anyways, and so, yeah, it ended up shooting Blaney up the track. And, when that happened, I thought to myself, okay, now, Byron, you got to get out of Dodge because Blaney has the right to at least get physical and kind of return the favor. But Blaney, I think Blaney knew that even if he did that, Byron was just going to get back to him and kind of get the last word. And so there's a point where, and I think he knew, like, it was nothing egregious. It looked kind of nasty, but it was nothing egregious. He didn't put him in the wall or anything like that, like Logano would do. And so because of that, I think
That's your boy
why
Kenza.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. What a legend. And so, that move I didn't have a problem with. There was a part of me that was thinking, and Byron's won a lot of races, and he's won a lot of races where he kind of had to show up late and kind of take it. But it's been in moments where it was a green, white checker restart, right? Where he kind of came out of nowhere and won it. Or he already had the lead and he was able to kind of pull away. Or Daytona, he's ninth on the last lap and the big one happens. And holy cow, here comes the 24 out of nowhere, right? Like, it's stuff like that where he's won these races. I don't think that I've ever seen him dominate a race, lose control of it, and then go and muscle his way back and get the win. So I, even as a fan of his, gained a whole lot more. Look at that beautiful picture. That's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, come here, Allie. You need to see this. I'm going to educate you on some NASCAR. She's looking. Austin, Allie kind of pulls for Joey Logano just to give me a hard time. But everyone needs
That's
to
a
see
good
the
wife.
picture
That's a good
of Logano
wife.
in the
Keep
wall.
you humble.
Yeah. Everyone needs to. How is she going to do that? Her driver isn't even in the Final Four. Anyways, don't talk championships either. Like, let's just don't even. Anyways, but no, it was cool to see him muscle his way back and get a win that way because he hadn't done that. He hadn't. It was cool to see William Byron muster his way to a win. I hadn't seen that before out of him, really. And so that was exciting. And I hope to see more of that in the future from him. Don't necessarily. A lot of folks are saying that they think that, this makes him a favorite for Phoenix. I think he put all his eggs in the Martinsville basket. I think he could run out of steam for Phoenix, but it was so exciting to see that kind of clutch performance. It reminded me of Chase Elliott when he had to go and get a win at Martinsville in 2020. And of course, we all know he followed it up with the championship win the next weekends. We'll see what Willie B does, but that was a phenomenal effort. And as a fan of the 24, especially like a legacy fan of the 24, like I go back to Jeff Gordon, it was just really special to see him win at Martinsville. And like Blake said, 10 years, the 10-year anniversary of Gordon's final win. So that was special, and it's really cool to see the 24 still being honored, that legacy being honored by having a driver in the car who can go and win races like this.
Yeah, Austin, you want to talk about the race overall? I know Logano didn't advance, obviously, but he had a pretty good day. Stayed in the top 10 throughout most of the day. It just wasn't going to be done that the strongest car was going to win the race overall.
I told y'all he wasn't going to win. I knew that going into it. It was nothing new. I thought for a moment he had a shot, but I knew once he didn't win at Vegas, didn't win at Dega, I knew it was probably not going to be his day. So it is what it is. Overall, though, I don't know. I didn't find the race super interesting through probably about 75% of it. Towards the end, I'd say it got a little bit better because you had, Byron losing the lead and having to come back and take it from Blaney. I think there was a good deal of drama for a little bit between Larson and Bell, but then Bell just didn't have enough to come close to Larson, and so there wasn't really a whole lot of drama there. Definitely not the worst Martinsville race I've seen, but definitely not the best either, I'd say. And I don't know, I feel like I didn't see a lot of action in and throughout. I heard there was passing, but I didn't necessarily see it all that much on TV.
You had the atmosphere of the driver winning to get into the playoffs. You had that boost of the element, so that's good overall for viewership. It's rated pretty highly, 78.1. It's just below the Bristol race from the fall, so it's voted pretty highly. A little bit higher than mid, probably like 14th or 15th. Just looking at this list, me and Blake were there, and we can say there was some passing. There was some 3 wide. And there was tire wear. We were, he was focused in. Me and him were split up because he brought some of his youth group to the racetrack. And I looked at him and I pointed out there was some tire marbles or whatever. And I looked at him. I said, "Oh, it's about to get good." And sure enough, when that long run happened, we seen some pretty good tire wear. Nothing Bristol level in the fall, but pretty interesting to watch as a fan at the racetrack.
I thought it was a pretty good race. I think something I know, and I know we've said it on here before. In places like Richmond, Martinsville, it is so hard. I think for TV to do it justice at those tracks, especially Martinsville, because Cole and I we saw a lot of good action the whole day. Now, I mean, it's no secret the first half of that race, sure, there wasn't tons of passing for the lead. I don't think that's anything aerodynamic or anything. I think Byron just had a better car, right? But there was a lot of good passing. Hence, Blaney coming from like 31st to first. I would assert that Cole, back when we first saw this car debut at Martinsville, that could not have happened. And you looked at, we sat in like row 3 there going into turn 1 on the front stretch, and you could tell that these cars were, I mean, these cars were one, they were filthy with tire rubber. So you could tell there was a lot of good tire wear. And also, too, the cars had a decent amount of like damage on them, and so you could tell there was a lot of beating and banging. And I saw in past Martinsville races, it would be really tough for in the next generation car specifically. One thing that would irritate the snot out of the fan watching it there in person is like you could not get to somebody's back bumper and just move them. But that wasn't the case at Martinsville this go round. You saw a lot of bumpers, a lot of people, especially coming out of turn 2. They were moving guys, and nothing egregious. It was just good good short track racing, right? And so
Just ask Kosovar.
yeah, for sure. And so, but I mean, and that's a good testament to, I think, how NASCAR's trying to make this a much better product, right? Because like I said, Cole, we've been to a lot of Martinsville races since that 2022 race, and it's gone from awful to pretty good. And so I think they can keep continuing to work at it. But I thought the tire wear, it wasn't on the extreme like Bristol side. Now, personally, I would love to see if they could ever get it to where the tires would cord again at Martinsville. I think that'd be awesome. But you had a good amount of tire wear to where it really mattered. And you see that with McDowell. He took 2 tires there, and he ended up being 2 laps down on that green flag run after he took the lead. So you can tell that they brought a really good left side tire, because it mattered enough where he went 2 laps down. It's like that hadn't happened much with the left sides. So I enjoyed it. I thought the atmosphere was pretty good, and I enjoyed it. Really fun. Get to sit down low. It was not really a bad seat at Martinsville, so it was I thought it was a really good race.
When you're a driver like Michael McDowell, what do you got to lose? You have no points to worry about other than, just being normally in the points wherever they are, probably in the 20s, probably, if I had to guess, for McDowell. maybe a little higher. But yeah, it was good to see. We got our one scheduled Cody Ware caution, so that's a requirement at any racetrack we must go to. I enjoyed door bumper cleared when they were talking like, Tommy, why can't you get the wheel on your car? I think they're getting close to double digits of loose wheels for that race team at this point. And making it into the Final Four adds a little extra spice to it. I think Blaney just used his car too much going up from the back to the front. I think if he qualified mid 15, 14, I think he'll probably would have seen a better race overall at the end between him and Byron. I think it'd still be a slugfest. I think Byron's team, Rudy Fugle, they turned the wrenches the right way, and he had a car set up to do really well. But I think it would have been more competitive if Blaney didn't have to use, as much brakes and whatnot. And Kent was mentioning, he was surprised that Blaney kind of left the bottom a little bit open when he was passing Ty Dillon to where Byron could make that move on him. It's not the first time we've ever thought that for Blaney. We remember Tyler Reddick riding the wall at Homestead last year to get that win. Blaney didn't block the top line. So, I mean, and this is not us judging Ryan Blaney's racecraft by any means, because what do we know? But it's just small things. It doesn't matter who it is.
We do know if you leave the inside open at Martinsville, you get passed, and if you leave the outside open at Homestead, you tend to get passed. So those are two things that we can know with certainty. But anyway, continue.
I was just trying to be out here, just trying to be nominal in case like Ryan Blaney somehow comes across this podcast one day. Be like, freak these guys.
No, I'm not saying I could do it. No, absolutely not. Could not do it. Nope. But I can tell him what to do, and I will armchair, drive this thing. Absolutely.
I think that the Final Four that we have deserve to be in the Final Four. I don't think there's any driver that you can sit down and be like, that person doesn't belong there. I think Larson's probably the weakest out of the four, and that's saying something when Larson's got like 18, 19 top 10s this year. I think he might be in the 20s. I was looking, and he's pretty high up there. But you got the regular season points champion with Byron, right? You got him in. You got Denny Hamlin, who has 6 wins this year. Pause. Let's see here.
Briscoe.
So Denny Hamlin, Briscoe consistently has probably the best car speed-wise week in and week out. It feels like he didn't really show up that much this week. Obviously had the engine issue at the end of the race or mechanical issue. Same with Denny Hamlin. Talk about momentum not going the right way for JGR coming into this championship race. We got 2 JGR cars. You got 2 Hendrick drivers. 2 of the most consistent race teams week in to week out going for a championship, right? If you looked at, championship 8 or 12, the only person that you could really argue that should be in here is Bell. But ultimately, when you have phenomenal drivers like NASCAR does, there's going to be 1 or 2 drivers that gets, not making it. Bell just circumstantially was the one that didn't make it.
When you look at this Final Four, I think it's the best quality Final Four out of all the series. I mean, because you don't really have I don't know that you really have an underdog in this one, right? I mean, you got, like you said, you got Hamlin with tons of wins this year. I think Briscoe's the top 5 leader, and you've got Byron, who's a regular season. Larson's got tons of top 10s. Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with you, Cole. I think really going into this week, Larson's kind of almost the oddball a little bit. I think if he does win the championship, it'll kind of be like a 2019 Kyle Busch championship, because Busch won a lot at the first part of that year, and from about June on went kind of stagnant and won at Homestead. So if he wins, I think that's going to kind of emulate Busch's 2019 championship run. But still, I mean, when you run consistently, I mean, that's going to definitely help. So I don't think anybody can complain on the quality of drivers you have here in the Final Four. And I think you've got 4 powerhouses, and I think it's going to be a brawl, but in a good way on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to that, because you got a lot of storylines too. I mean, Hamlin, you don't know how many times that he's going to have left to be in the Final Four, win a championship. Briscoe is, I mean, he moved to North Carolina and was like sleeping on other people's couches just to try to make a name for himself. Byron is from the computer game, iRacing to champion he could be. And then Larson is just a really, really good driver who has he had his Larson-esque kind of season? No. But the fact that he's here shows that they've overcome a lot of stuff and put together some consistent things. So I think you got a fun race ahead of us for Phoenix with these four.
Yeah, I think the win category is where Larson kind of lacks, but I pulled up the numbers here on the screen. This is not a terrible year. Have 21 top 10s in a year, 14 top 5s, over 1,000 laps led, 2 DNFs. Not bad at all. I mean, the only thing that you could really say is the win category, maybe a couple, maybe 1 or 2 extra wins and a couple more poles. I think that's really all you can ask. And if that is your fourth driver in this playoff format, this is probably the first like playoff format where all 4 legitimately, I feel like, really belong in there. You don't have anybody that just snuck in there somehow, some way. This 4 feels very solid, which ironically is kind of crazy because now they're looking to change off the playoff system. But then this year is like, oh, it's actually just a normal year for the playoffs for once. It's like, what is going on? Go ahead, Kent.
Yeah, and you just gotta hate it for Bell, right? Like Bell's the one guy who it's also like, okay, in this kind of a system, he ought to deserve a shot, And it was going to come down to, I was thinking about it. This is 2 years in a row that it came down to either he or Byron, right? And so that's kind of wild to think about, first of all, but second of all, I mean, it's got to be deflating for Bell. He's had as good a season as you can ask for in this sport, and it wasn't enough, and so hate that for him. But he said something. I was watching a documentary of the that they put together for Netflix when he was in the Final Four, and if you remember, he had the brake issues, and he puts it in the fence. And in that documentary, he goes on to say, "I just hope I get another shot at this thing." Well, and I'm sitting there watching it like, bro, like, you're going to be in it next year. What are you talking about? He hadn't been in it since. And it's only been 2 years. So, like, calm down. I still think, bro, you're going to have plenty of shots. He's an excellent race car driver. I believe he's a future multi-time champion. But at the end of the day, that's 2 years in a row. And that's close to 700 days, right? That he has not competed for the championship in NASCAR. So yeah, it's got to be discouraging. It's got to be deflating for a guy like Bell to have the season that you did, and you go back and you say, "What can I do differently?" Maybe win a race here or there.
Mm-hmm.
Win a race here or there. But at the same time, it's like, did your season just was it just that bad? No, it was actually a really stinking good season. It just wasn't enough. It's a tough pill to swallow, but I mean, but change the format. Let's say you change to the format, and then you could have a guy who wins 10 races that has 10 other DNFs, right? That doesn't win the championship, and it's like you had a great season, but you didn't make it happen where it needed to and where it counts. So every system's going to have its flaws. I just think I'm right, and that this system's the worst one. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You got to play by the rules, and Bell didn't qualify for the next round. So tough for him.
Four wins, 22 top 10s, 13 top 5s, 1 pole, 3 DNFs, and 282 laps led. So, I mean, a very, very good year, but just in a year of drivers that been super consistent. I mean, you had Hamlin consistently good. As much as we dogged on Larson throughout the year, he's still got 21 top 10s, right? It's tough to see someone like Christopher Bell, who won the All-Star race, who started off the year super duper hot, won 3 races in a row. And we're like, oh man, this is Bell's year. And then just the wins stopped coming, and then as we've seen with this system, is the wins just matter more, supposedly, unless you're in a tiebreaker in the Truck Series. But we won't talk about that because we already have talked about that. Yeah, it's tough to watch, but I think that, I mean, let's be honest here. Christopher Bell, I'll call it here. Look at this in 6 years. I think he's the next guy to go 5 to 7 championships. I think that he is the guy I would pick probably. I think he's so consistent. If JGR stays to be in the powerhouse that they are, I just think he adapts really well. I mean, he can race at road courses, mile and a halves, short tracks, plate tracks. He's just a versatile driver, and he is super duper young. So the only problem is you got so much more younger talent that's coming in, like a Zilich, a Jesse Love. It's not going to be super duper easy by any means. But if there's anybody that I think it could be a multi 3 to 5 year or champion by the end of their career, I think Bell's probably one of the ones I have circled, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
We will move on to the last preview of this year for NASCAR for us. Just let that sink in, guys. This has been a phenomenal journey. I've enjoyed it personally every week because I've been here every week. I know most people can't say that. But before we get into the preview, though, Kent, I'm going to let you lead this discussion since you brought it up to me.
Awesome.
I'm going to let you take over. This is the first segment ever ran by the Kent.
Well, he hasn't been here
I,
consistently enough to do that. So
thank you, Austin. I really appreciate that, man. I've been working my tail off at it though. So here's what we're gonna do. Every week we get to go through our pick'em series, right? And we kind of say who we think's gonna win, but everything's predicated on who did the person before me pick or who do I have available in my picks. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a college game day style pick'em. You can pick the same driver as someone else. This is not a matter of, there might be bragging rights involved, but this is just a matter of who do you genuinely think will win. And if someone else genuinely thinks that same driver is going to win, then pick the same driver. Just agree with them or whatever the case may be. So there's 4 drivers to choose from. And I just want you to tell me. I'm gonna kind of call on y'all, and I'll go last, and I'll put on the headgear. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm gonna kind of go, call on y'all. Y'all tell me who is the 2025 champion and why. So Austin, we'll start with you. Who is the 2025 champion, and why will they be the champion?
Well, this will probably also be my pick this weekend as well. But get on the bandwagon or get run over, baby. I'm rolling with number 11 this weekend. I just feel like everything is set up for him to do it this year. I mean, if this is the year that he's going to win it, this is the year. It just feels like it's all there to happen. He's had 3 weeks to prepare for Phoenix. He said on his podcast today he feels a lot more confident than he would have been coming into this if he had won at Martinsville or Dega. He said he feels a lot more confident about just how he's approaching the track, how he's approaching it with speed. He said he believes they'll have speed this weekend. Personally, I know Larson historically is better at Phoenix, and so is Byron at times, and even Briscoe has a history there. But everything just seems to line up this year for Denny Hamlin to finally get that championship.
All right, Blake, who is the 2025 champion, and why will they be crowned champion at the end of the day?
I'm going to go with Chase Briscoe. I think his consistency, and honestly, he won at Phoenix. His first ever win at Phoenix was with a Stewart Haas car. Okay. He is in much better equipment. He's a much better developed Cup Series driver. Like I said, he's a top 5 leader going in this year. He's had a wonderful second half of the season. And I think he's the best consistent driver you can look at here and think that he's got a good shot. So I think if somebody outside of the top 4 wins, I think that even helps Briscoe out more. He's just super, super consistent no matter where you go. And I'm saying Chase Briscoe's your champion. It's a little out there, but that's what I'm thinking.
Solid points, man. I agree with you.
All right. You said you agree. Are you going to go Briscoe as well? Cole, what's your championship prediction?
I am picking the 24 William Byron to win the championship. I picked him last year to do it overall in our pick'em series. Sadly, he just did not have a really good performance in the fall. But I don't know, man. It seems like Byron's matured a lot this season. He's been super consistent. I know we've been talking about how Briscoe's been consistently really good the entire season. Obviously, Byron was consistent throughout majority of the regular season, given that he won the regular season points. And yeah, man, I just think that I'm gonna give him a shot. I just have a feeling, and it always feels like those drivers that come in with the momentum, man. They always are ready to kill it. Blaney came in, almost won last year, having that walk off, and then of course the year before, right? He did pretty good too. So that's just my pick. I don't know if it's just gutsy pick or what, but I think it's Willie B.
Right. So all great picks. Cole, I think you're right, man. I think William Byron's going to win the pole. I think he's going to be fast in practice. I think he's going to come in just absolutely hot and heavy, and he's going to dominate the first two stages of that race. Chase Briscoe's going to win the championship. I really do think that. I think it's Chase Briscoe's year, and I think that we're going to find out very quickly. We've always said when Chase Briscoe gets to the Cup Series, if you put him in good equipment, what is he going to be able to do? And now that he's in good equipment, like Blake mentioned already, he won for SHR at this track. How much better ought he, be able to perform in a Joe Gibbs car? And so I know, but yeah, I know. I'm saying this with the 24 hat on, but with my gut feeling and how this race is going to go, I think William Byron's going to get off to a hot start. He did that last year. He got off to a hot start. I don't think he finishes. I think strategy comes into play, and then I think Briscoe becomes very hard to pass there towards the end. And so, yeah, I'm going to take the 19 to win the championship. I find it odd. None of us picked Kyle Larson. So watch us all be wrong. And then I'm going
Overrated.
to delete all of this, and I'm only going to show people my preseason pick if Kyle Larson wins it. But anyways, but that's cool. All right, it's good to know. Now that we've got those picks out of the way, we can, we know who each other really thinks is going to win this thing, and now we can kind of compete in our series and make those picks based off of rules that we got to follow.
But before we do that, we got to preview all the drivers that are upcoming for Phoenix. We're going to start at the trucks. I'm really excited about the 7 truck this week. It's going to be driven by Stephen Parsons. That's a great ride for that individual. I hope that he has a really good run. I used to really, really like him when he made those optional starts in the Xfinity series sometimes. So looking forward to that. You got the number 35 of Grand Van Alst, number 41 of Tyler Rafe, and the number 62 of Cole Butcher. And also, I think Luke Baldwin's actually racing for Thor Sport to conclude the season, so that's really cool as well for the truck series. Now, Xfinity series, we got a whole bunch. Patrick Hemingway in the 07, Butterbean, of course, in the 11 once again to finish out the season. Corey Day making another start. We talked about Eric Almirola possibly being one of those favorites for the owner's points. He'll be driving that 19. 35 of Stephen Parsons making an Xfinity start as well. 45 of Josh Williams. 53 of Joey Gase. 70 of Leland Honeyman Jr. I'm pretty sure he actually announced he's going to be full-time in ARCA next year for Nitro Motorsports, so good for him. Number 74, Dawson Cram. Number 91 of Josh Bolicki. And the number 99 of Connor Mosack. And then at the end for the Cup, we only got 2 drivers. Got J.J. Yaley in the 44 and the 66 of Casey Mears at Phoenix. And to conclude our 4-wide segment, for the last time this year, I'm handing it over to Mr. Historian Kent. Byron, man.
My gosh. So, yeah, Phoenix this weekend. Phoenix has got a pretty good amount of history. It opened in 1964 to be exact. But when I look back at races that have taken place at this track, and maybe this is just, and I can't even remember what I talked about when this race was run in the spring. There's a chance I mentioned the same race. And if so, forgive me for it. But when I look back at races on Phoenix, or at Phoenix as a Gordon fan, I think of the 2007 moment when Jeff Gordon tied Earnhardt. Actually, no, he passed. Dude, did he tie or pass Earnhardt? I want to say he tied Earnhardt
I think he tied.
for all-time wins because I don't think he would have flown the 3 flag for passing him, but he did tie him. And then all of that happening in the wake of the Virginia Tech tragedy with the on-campus shooting that took place there in 2007. So, I had the diecast of that win back in the day. It was a 1/64 scale that I was 10 years old, so I destroyed it, played with it so much. But it had the Virginia Tech logo on it and everything. But, Jeff Gordon getting that win. But I also remember in 2011 when Jeff Gordon went and snapped a 66 race winless streak, winning in that draft and undercar to kind of kickstart a pretty decent 2011 campaign there in the second race of the season. And so the Phoenix has been a good track to the 24 in the past at times, and so I hope it is again in the future. But it's hard to talk finishes at this track without there's two finishes at this track that I really do think of as kind of standing out in particular. The first one is Hemrick's Xfinity championship, right? Like his finish where he holds off Cindric, or gets by Cindric, right? Like to win that championship. That was huge. But then also Harvick and Edwards coming down and having the just side by side Harvick by nose moment. Just absolutely incredible finish. So this track, while it has been lackluster maybe in the last 4 or 5 years, it's capable of some really good racing. And we've seen, I don't think any one of us would say that the short track or smaller track racing, like the 1 mile tracks and under, I think we'd still say it lacks a little bit this year, but I think we would all agree it has been better this year than it has been in the past several seasons. At least probably the best it's been with the next gen car. So I'm excited to see what the next story in the chapter of Phoenix Raceway. And again, this has been the championship race since 2020. Can Hendrick Motorsports bookend championships at this track, right? Because this is going to be the last time in the foreseeable future that the season ends at Phoenix. And so, with it returning to Homestead next year, however that looks, right? If it's the end of a 3-race round of the playoff, or if it is just a standalone event, or whatever the case may be, it would be cool as a Hendrick fan to see Hendrick Motorsports bookend championships there with winning the first one with Chase Elliott and then winning the last one with William Byron, or even with Kyle Larson. So, and then it would also make it to where Hendrick and Penske are the only two that won championships at this track. And that's kind of crazy to think about too, especially since, Harvick was around for a decent amount of this time. And we all know how he dominated this place. I think we're in for a treat on Sunday, and I can't wait to see what the next story in the chapter of Phoenix Raceway is going to be.
Yeah, so Phoenix don't really have the complicated specs, but it's a interesting track, to say the least. It's undergone some different variations. The back stretch used to be the front stretch. There used to be a lot of grass on the track. Things have changed gradually over the years to now where you have the sweeping dog leg that goes across the front stretch. You'll see guys go 5, 6 wide, trying to get a little bit of extra momentum going through that interesting little wide dog leg there at Phoenix. It's not made of concrete, just so everybody is made aware of that. It is an asphalt track, very much an asphalt track. If there is concrete, it's not on the track. So, but Phoenix is as Kent mentioned, it's been the site of 2 races a year, the championship race in 2020. Now we're moving to Homestead next year, and kind of this rotation that has been hinted at and talked about, a rotation of tracks. Guys who are good here at Phoenix. Larson is good here. I think he has an average finish of like 8th. Chastain is really good here. Byron has been good here in the past. Briscoe has a win. So those are a couple guys that are good here at Phoenix. It's a hard track. I mean, it's very difficult. I was racing it on my wheel and pedals for NASCAR 25 as you get deep into the runs, because there's no symmetry with the track whatsoever. The turns are vastly and completely different, and then how your approach to the track changes as you get deeper into the run, as you lose the freshness of those tires. It is a challenging track. We're in for a show for all 3. We all know the truck race has a tendency to get pretty aggressive when it comes to the championship race, and same for Xfinity. But yeah, last race of the year, boys. And then we got to wait 2 months to Daytona, 2 to 3 months to Daytona.
Don't forget about the Clash. It's a race too.
Yeah, man. Well, I think they're bringing a pretty good tire. It's not, they're only going to have one specific tire they're running, so it's not like a dual option set like they had back in the spring, but they're running a really good tire, same tire compound that they had at Bowman Gray, North Wilkesboro, both Martinsville races, Richmond, New Hampshire. You look at those were really good races. You look at the tire wear, like we alluded to already at Martinsville just this past week. Super, super good tire. And I think it's going to help make Phoenix really, really interesting, because you're going to have to manage a little bit, but you got to go also. So how can you manage, but how can you go fast with the final 4 guys? So it's going to be super, super interesting to see. The Cup guys will have 7 race sets, 1 qualifying, and then there is an extended practice session this week, so they will have 4 sets of practice tires to get as dialed in as what they can at. That's for the Cup. For Xfinity, it's going to be the same tire as they ran at Phoenix back in the spring, and also the same at Gateway. They got 4 race sets that they can use, 1 to qualify on, 1 to practice on, and for the truck, it is the same breakdown, 4 race sets, 1 qualifying, 1 practice. And this will be the same truck tire you saw at North Wilkesboro, Richmond, New Hampshire, and the IRP. Looked at the weather. It's supposed to be some really good Phoenix sunny weather, about sunny and 85, 87 on some days. So it's definitely going to be hot and slick for sure. So if there's not a lot of grip, you'll see a lot of the guys moving around, especially down in turns 1 and 2. I think that'll be really, really interesting. So yeah, I think the tire wear, it's going to make Phoenix a lot more eventful than what it might have been in some years past. I think the racing at Phoenix, granted, it might not be barn burning. I think you see some good action all throughout the track at Phoenix. So I'm super excited about it. The fans, I know, seem to like it, and I'll give it to Cole there.
Yep. I mean, Blake kind of said it. Phoenix, there's a reason why this track's been the championship race for a long time. The racing may not deduce always to be ultimately the best on-track product, but we've seen, like Kent said, we've seen some pretty good, phenomenal finishes. But it's one where the fans usually show up, especially for the the championship race. Now it's kind of teeter-tottered here in the last few years. Hopefully it's a good showing. Everybody packs it out, being the last time it's going to be there for a while. Yeah, it's going to be, that's important to have tracks like that on the West Coast. I know NASCAR is predominantly more geared towards the East Coast and Midwest and, more southern, but it's really cool to have racetracks like that and Sonoma that are over on the West Coast. I know it's a pain to travel there for NASCAR teams. Logistics, it's got to suck, but it's not as bad as Mexico City. They can look, you had that upside at least, right? But I'm really looking forward to it. It's probably one of the more anticipated Phoenix races that I can think of for me personally, given how much investment that I've had this year doing the podcast, keeping up NASCAR a lot more closely this year than last year collectively. So I'm looking forward to the end of this year. And I'm not looking forward to not doing any more spicy takes after this week. I'm telling you guys, the segues they're coming in. They're coming in to prime time, but now it really is prime time for us. None of us hit our spicy takes, our hot takes last week. Austin said that Sheldon Creed was going to get the dub, and I think he finished 5th. So at least he's in the top 5. I think Kent said that Alex Bowman was going to get the win. He did not hit his. I said that all the drivers was going to be a win to get in. So that obviously didn't happen. And then I believe Blake, let's see, I have it written down here. You had a free wide tie on Cup. You like what I did there? 3 wide tie.
I like it. Yeah.
On Cup, yeah. So we all missed it predominantly. Austin, buddy, give me your Phoenix hot take that has nothing to do with the championship. We're going to just try to not mention the championship here because I feel like that's just easy.
Things happen to Zilich and Allgaier in the Phoenix race, and Jesse Love walks away the champion.
Jesse Love, the champion in the Xfinity Series.
I mean, that would be... Because I don't think any of us in the Xfinity segment talked about the possibility of Love walking away with the championship, because we just don't think he's, going to do it. But I think that would be quite the shock if, let's say a Ninja blows or, Zilich and Allgaier are battling for the lead, and then both of them wreck out, and then in swoops the one non-JRM car to get the win.
I think Love has a better chance than Quapple does, but I definitely agree. We didn't talk about Jesse Love, which is, I think we were just really excited for Quapple, right? Given how his news has come across the last few weeks of him not being able to have a full-time ride, and he's going to have to split part-time. So him being in the championship is kind of just a cool story in itself. Alrighty. I'll let Blake take this one. I think of mine. I was thinking, and then I was like, yeah, that one's it's too baseline. I ain't going to do that.
You said don't.
Blanco, what is your...
You said don't mention.
Yeah, don't mention Cup Championship. You can do Truck or Xfinity, I guess, because they're more up in arms.
Yeah. I'm going to say, can I say for either Truck or Xfinity, you're going to have a 0-win champion?
Good. I think that's pretty spicy.
Do I need to be specific on which one?
It would help being more spicy, but I mean...
I'll get.
I say in the honor of a spicy take, I say you choose one.
Okay, I hope this ain't the case for trucks just because of my pick 'em, but I'll go. You have a 0-win truck winner champion.
Tyler Ankrum.
No,
Ankram's got to win. He's got Rockingham.
You know what? I'll go Caden Honeycutt. I think that's probably the more spicy.
Yeah, that's for sure. For sure. All right, Kent, we're doing our spicy takes. We're not allowing Cup Championship to be anything mentioned in the spicy, but you can do Xfinity or trucks if you would like.
So mine it's a little similar to Austin, so if I need to change it, let me know. But I'd been thinking about this one for a little while. Either Heim or Zilich, one of the two, will have a DNF and not even get a chance to race for the championship.
I like it. It's a good one. All right, I will make mine. I think all 3 races, you will have a driver that's not in the playoffs win the race. Feel like that's pretty spicy.
Especially for trucks.
Yeah, especially for trucks, yeah. Because, I mean, there's only a select few drivers that you really expect to be in a running for that at all. So we'll go with it. We'll end it off with a really spicy take and see what happens. All righty. Well, I guess it is what it is, right? It's time for our last. Sorry, my stomach's growling. Dude, I ate those muffins and, I just got more hungry. And, if I had a nice, fantastic catered meal by Wilkerson's Catering, I wouldn't have this problem right now. I wouldn't be starving. Those just 1 to 2 muffins, it just wasn't enough. Maybe I should have called Kyle up, man. And Blake, what should I got Kyle to fix me? He fixes all kinds of good stuff.
Man, I've had some of his hors d'oeuvres before, and he's got a few different specialty ones that pretty much you try all those, it's going to feel like a meal, man. You know, you're not going to feel guilty because you ate 2 muffins. You're going to feel great because you had a lot of different hors d'oeuvres.
I like it. I like it. I know that they've been double booked, close to triple booked for the end of this year, and then they're still looking for 2026 dates. So if you guys have weddings or events, anything you got going on, I know who I'm going to call. I know Blake knows who he's going to call for some events that are up and coming in his life. We're going to call Webster's Catering and see if he can hook us up with some of the fantastic meals. By the looks of all four of us here, we like food. We know good food. So
We love food.
Kyle
So
fixes
for
good
some of
food.
us, it collects in more places than others.
Ain't that the truth, buddy? These legs for me, man, they're tough.
If only I could
Uh,
that. Only my
Man.
401k.
only thing that's rolling is not your 401k, it's your stomach.
Yeah. Plot twist, I don't even have a 401k.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty, boys. Well, I'm going to throw it to Austin for our Pick'em series for the final time of this year.
Man, so sad. Last time picking, what a journey. Well, let's recap the truck series. Why don't we? Cole came in last this weekend with Daniel Hemrick. I came in third with Mr. Majeski. Blake came in second with Lane Riggs, and then Kent got the dub with Corey Heim. Looking at our points for the last race, I'm still in potential winning position. Cole is mathematically eliminated from the truck series. He is a no-go. I have 59 points. Blake has 62. Kent has 65. In order for me to win, I need Kent to not come in first place, and I need Mr. Majeski to pull out some magic and win. Cole, my friend, you cannot pick Heim, Caruth, and Hemrick. I know it's just for funsies right now, but who are you picking for this weekend?
So, am I supposed to be like the respectful driver when I'm not in the playoffs anymore? I kind of just like pull off to the side and let you guys go by, or do I just like completely just try to check one of you guys?
It's up to you, buddy. Play how you want to play. Depends on who you're trying to screw over.
I'll take Chandler Smith this week.
All right. Well, I hope this guy at least gets me 3 points. Hope he doesn't get 4 points because that means I lose. But I cannot pick Zilich, Kligerman, or Majeski, so give me Corey Heim. Last time. I know Blake is not happy with me about for that.
That's all right. I'll just counter it with Majeski.
Oh, man. So you're going Majeski?
Yeah, might as well.
All right.
Playing 4D chess over here. Meanwhile, I picked Chandler Smith just to get out of the way for you guys. I'm like, I ain't getting involved in this.
All right, Kent, you're in an interesting predicament, my friend. You are 3 points ahead, but your championship pick got eliminated this weekend with Mr. Enfinger. You cannot pick Chandler Smith, Corey LaJoey, Corey Heim, and now with Blake's pick, Ty Majeski. Who are you picking?
If Heim wins, then there's a good chance that I drop at least 2 positions right there. And it's possible, anyways. It is possible. So I'm just going to go with the one I feel like could possibly get me the most points, and I'm going to go with Lane Riggs. And really just hope that Heim doesn't. I hope Heim is my hot take.
Or Majeski, because I could still beat you. I could still beat you with Majeski.
I mean,
is a
you could,
possibility.
yeah.
Yeah, so meanwhile, Cole's just over here chilling. All right. So next, we will move to the Xfinity Series. Kent came in last with Gator. Blake came in third with Zilich. Cole came in second with Almirola. And then I came in first with Sammy Smith. Looking at our point situation, everybody is within striking distance. Everybody except Blake has their championship predictions correct. How about us, guys? Cole has Zilich. I have Allgaier. Kent has Love. And if it wasn't for Austin Hill being an idiot at Indy, then Blake would probably be in this conversation too.
Yeah, for real.
So Blake is the only one that does not have the benefit of 10 points potentially being awarded to him at the end of Saturday's race. So let's see. So Mr. Kent, you cannot pick Creed, Smith, or Allgaier. Who are you rolling with?
So, am I leading this one? Or am I
No,
tied?
you're tied for second with Blake at 75.
Who's leading? You?
Cole with 76.
How dare you, Kent? How
I'm
dare
sorry,
you?
I just assumed. All right. So who picked Zilich to win the championship? Okay. How many points of
Just pick him already.
I'm behind Cole though.
Well, you can't pick Allgaier, so you're kind of behind the 8 ball.
If Zilich wins, you lose regardless.
Whether I pick him or not. Like it
Yeah.
it doesn't matter at
Yeah,
that
because
point.
it's 10 points to the winner. So
I'm gonna go all in on Love. Do I have him available?
Yeah.
yeah, you
I think
do.
so.
Okay, just making sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go all in on Love. It's not obviously I would want to go Zilich, obviously, but just strategically, there's no plus side to it. I mean, woohoo! I could finish second, but I mean,
It could. I mean, if Quapple wins the championship, it could play a factor into it. But
yeah. I'm gonna go all in on Love. Love, and I know Love won at Rockingham and then had it
DQ'd.
Yep. Rockingham isn't all that similar. I know Rockingham's pretty steep banked, but it has a dog leg and the shapes are comparable.
You
So
sound like
I
a
don't know.
conspiracy theorist that's never
Yeah,
opened a book in their life.
I know. Thank you. I'm a bad conspiracy theorist. I'm gonna go with Love, and I'm trying to talk myself into feeling like that's a good decision.
Well,
I don't know.
Once you put it in the book, it's done.
And just so everybody's aware, if a championship pick hits,
It doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. If Allgaier wins, I win. If Zilich wins, Cole wins. If Love wins, then Kent wins. The only thing that matters is if somehow neither of those three win.
Quapple wins.
If Quapple wins,
I'd love a die.
then Blake has a very, very slim chance of winning
I don't
this
even
weekend.
percent at this point.
So just so everybody's aware, I mean, regardless of who you pick, I mean, whoever wins the championship more than likely wins.
That's Blake's chances right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's it right there.
That's like the accomplishment
All right, so
book. Just blank pages.
all right, Blake, you cannot pick Almirola, Harrison Burton, or Zilich.
Well, how many points do you have overall, Austin?
73.
Give me, let's hope it works out for me somehow. Maybe he'll finish second and Quaff will finish first, and it'll be great. Give me Allgaier.
I was like, this is the obvious pick. Why are we sitting here waiting 10 minutes to do this?
I'm trying to.
All right, give me Almirola. Oh wait, no, Cole goes next. Never mind.
I can't pick Amarola anyway,
Okay.
so you're fine.
Are you taking Zilich?
Yeah, might as well. I mean, I can't think of anybody else that I can pick. I will say, I predicted Zilich winning the championship before any race ever happened. So if it happens, this will be my Austin Terminator moment.
All right. And then last, the Cup Series. Kent has pulled himself from the depths of defeat to now being within potential striking distance. The way our points stand, I have 99, Cole has 97, Kent has 95, Blake has 94. Kent is the only one who has his championship pick still in the mix with Kyle Larson, If Larson wins, that is 10 points to Mr. Kent. He would stand a good shot at winning just based off of how things are in our point standings. For Blake, it's a very slim chance that Blake will win. In order for Blake to win, he has to, for one, hope that Larson doesn't win. Which I know about a catch-22.
I know.
And he would have to
Sweep the stages.
basically sweep the stages to tie me, because 100 is as many points as he can get this weekend, and 100 is the minimum that I can get this weekend. Cole is still in the mix. He's just within 2 points. More than likely, unless something crazy happens, it'll more than likely come down to myself, Cole, and Kent, with a small chance of Blake still staying alive. Looking at this past weekend, Blake came in last with his boy Larson. I came in third with Chase Elliott. Cole came in second with Blaney, and then Kent came in first, sweeping both stages with his boy William Byron, winning in walk-off fashion. So Blake has the first pick this weekend. Blake, you cannot pick Hamlin, you can't pick Bowman, and you can't pick Larson. Are you running with Briscoe?
You've been saving him for this moment.
Yeah, I would think that I would like to lean that way.
Obviously, we're not picking right now, but we're like just leaning. Yeah.
But I would say it's probably a fair assessment if he qualifies and practices well and starts up front. He's I'd probably see myself doing that.
And then for myself, I can't pick Byron, I can't pick Logano, and I can't pick Elliott. There are two guys that have saved for such a time as this, but only Larson is a stupid pick for me, because if Larson wins, then I lose regardless. So probably going to throw it all on old number 11. Denny Hamlin, that's the guy I'm leaning towards. I just, like, as I mentioned earlier, I don't have to rehash it too much. I feel like he's confident coming into this weekend, and we all know there's nothing more scary than a confident Denny Hamlin walking into a weekend. Ultimately, we'll see what happens with practice and qualifying, but more than likely, I'm going to be throwing my money on old number 11 this weekend. See, next it goes to Cole. Cole, you can't pick Bell, Brad K, or Blaney. Who's on your radar?
Give me the old 24, man. I think it is going to happen.
1 year too late.
Yep, for me, yeah. But if he comes in clutch this time and wins, yeah, I mean, it'd come in good for me, because that would be championship points negated, and it just comes down to whoever's the best day.
Yep, that's right. All right, and then...
Dang, Kent's got like a tough go here.
Yeah, Kent is picking last, probably the worst possible thing, but ultimately, I feel like he's going to just have to ride the Larson wave here, because he can't pick Elliott, he can't pick Cindric, he can't pick his boy, Byron, and if it shakes out how it looks like it's going to shake out, he can't pick Hamlin, and he can't pick Briscoe either. So what's the move, Kent? Are you just riding the Larson wave?
Yeah, I think at that point I have to. And I don't feel bad about that either, you know? And we'll see how it shakes out. If there's a play where I could get Hamlin and have, guaranteed points from a Larson win or a Hamlin win just to try to shake something up, that would be cool. But yeah, I think I'd have to, if this is the way things shake out. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Larson.
So just to recap, basically, if Kent gets Larson wins on Sunday, Kent wins. Which is wild. He will win, regardless of the day that I have. If I have a 6-point day, bare minimum, if Larson wins, then he's just going to win if Larson wins. Looking at tiebreakers, things are tight. Total wins, I have 10. Cole has 10. Blake has 9. First place predictions, Blake and I are tied at 7. Cole has 5, and then Kent has just ran away with the stage wins. But if it comes down to a tiebreaker, things are very tight. If it comes down to total wins right now, Cole and I are tied, and it would go down to the second tiebreaker, and vice versa with Blake. So yeah, we're in for an interesting season. I told y'all were going to catch up. I had a big lead in the summer. And then we went through that rough stretch there towards the end of the summer, beginning of the playoffs, and everything has just kind of caught up. But we will revisit next week to recap the championship and just sort of see how everything shook out at the end of the year. Hard to believe it's the last race of the year.
Been a phenomenal ride for all us guys here at 4 Wide. We've really enjoyed doing this weekly thing. Going to try to stay consistent, even if it's just me for a couple of weeks. I'm going to try to at least upload once a week and try to keep it up to date. But we appreciate everybody that's been with us. We're still going to post a whole bunch to the socials and whatnot at 4 Wide, FOURWIDE pod. Yeah, guys, just thank you so much for listening. I hope that we continue growing. We keep having fun doing this, and we will be back next week for sure to recap Phoenix and how everything happens, and we will reveal who has won the coveted diecast for this this highly anticipated series for all 4 of us. Thank you guys so much, and take care, and adios.